All right, y'all. Team Final Boss here, coming at you with another deck profile from a fellow teammate. Who are you and what did you do?
Hey, my name is Lifland. As I often say, some of you might know me as Volt the Personality or VOP. And my team, we made day 2 and ultimately bubbled at the 3v3 team Las Vegas YCS.
Awesome, man. Well, what were you playing that event? Looks like just cash?
I was playing what I call Better Have It Kashtira. BHI Kashtira.
All right, man. Well, let's get into the deck profile.
Okay. So the first part, super standard. 3 Unicorn,
Okay.
3 Fenrir, only 2 Rise Heart.
Okay.
Realistically, it could be 3. I never felt like I needed the 3rd, but for all the profiles I saw running this at 3, it's probably correct, but I liked it at 2.
All right.
And then just 1 and 1 of the extenders. These, I think, were fine at 1.
Just fine. You'd never wish you had more?
It's somewhat hard to say because whenever you have these plus a Kashtiras engraved, they feel like the best cards in your deck. And then other times you have them and then they're just beaters, which is fine.
Fair.
But so the percentages, because I noticed some builds weren't running this one at all and they were actually opting for Ogre. Not necessarily in its place, but just a name. So it was the same count of names, but just different monsters. I'll have to test that.
Okay.
But overall, I was happy with this. And then, not much to say on this one. Just
Of course.
3 Ash. There was a
All
lot of
throughout the
Despia in the room. Enough said.
Is that your only hand trap right there?
It's the only main deck one.
Okay.
Well, other than Imperm, but we'll
Of course,
get
of
to
course.
that. And then the only other monster in the deck was the 3 main deck Lava Golem.
All right. Well,
And card was insane the entire tournament.
so you're just blinding second pretty much every game, or?
Almost every. The nice thing that I liked about this deck is a lot of times, since it's pretty much a 1-card starter type of deck, you would just play, and then if they break the board, it's still good on turn 3. So I like that just this standard deck could go first, but predominantly the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
We were just trying to swing big going second.
Sounds good, man.
And then some more super standard 3. So 3 of the planet, 3 Kashtiras. I was only playing 2 Birth.
Okay.
Probably should have bumped that up to 3 because probably is the best Kashtira card. Every time I had it, especially in the mirror, if my opponent didn't, I just felt I was way up
Okay.
with this. And then the honorary Kashtira card.
Of course, of course.
And so then for a little bit more of the going second, but also semi-going first hybrid type cards, was 3 Thrust and then just the one-off tactics.
How did Thrust perform for you this weekend?
Card was insane. It truly felt like just a fake card. Like at worst, if they ask you, it means I set an imperm.
Okay.
Sometimes if they interacted with you, but it wasn't the biggest board, you just go for the terraforming to get planet. Or more often than not, it got it evenly, which we'll get to, or this, or anything like that. Card was just, again, absolutely insane.
All right, man.
And then probably maybe a co-MVP was Eclipse. Again, sometimes it just baited an Ash. And honestly, if this card said rip a card out of your opponent's hand, I'd probably still play it. So I was super happy with it the whole time. There was even plenty of times where I was booking my own board to play around imperms and things like that. So I thought it was great. And then, ain't nothing to be said about this. Just
Of course.
Prosperity's
Of
prosperity.
course.
One off Big Bang, standard. Was only playing 2 Imperm. It came up, sort of. It really didn't do a great deal. I didn't even get impermed myself even all that often. So, but it was fine. Not a whole lot to report back.
Every time you saw it, it was nice, or did you feel it had less impact than you wanted?
I never... So, if I drew it as my 6th card, I was always happy to see it. So, I really didn't mind it. But it wasn't like last format where, like, if you hit Kit Kat, it just really stymied the turn. Here, it puts them on, they better have another extender, but that's kind of not the best use for that card, I feel.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then to round out the deck, 3 evenly, also in main.
Okay, and you, like you said, thrust target as well.
Thrust target was insane. I played against a fair bit of Braves, so it just goes plus ultra on them. I enjoyed that. I like using evenly. I like it in main even more, because that way I find it's a card easier to side out than in. So, but yeah, that was the profile.
Awesome.
41 cards.
41 main? Sounds good. Let's get
Like
on
I said, far from solved. I think there's some things that probably could make it better. Not quite sure what those things are yet.
Of course.
But overall, I was happy with the deck.
Okay. Well, let's get into the side deck or extra deck, whatever you want to do.
So extra deck also pretty much super standard. We had the one Lingeribo. Not a single person tried the Ibley lock on me.
One Lingeribo, so just weren't afraid of Cash going first, ripping this, and then Ibling you.
So I was also playing Donner.
Okay.
And so even though it's way worse, I was like, a lot of decks to out this are already contributing to normal summon. So I was like, well, I just will too.
Okay.
Maybe not the best logic, but I just didn't want to commit 2 slots to this card. Also, I was more afraid of the gimmick puppet thing, and I was like, I can't do anything about that anyway. So I just kind of let it ride.
Okay.
And then the last Link monster was the
Goliath.
Goliath for the prosperity. I attached this card a lot, but it never came up once.
Okay.
Not even close to coming up.
Just good to have in that protection, huh?
Yep, for sure. Then I played 2 Shangri-La. Card was solid. Again, not a whole lot to report. Didn't blank too many zone type things with it. It was more, I played it more like a just purely control card.
You didn't go couch combo?
I did not. I did once, but not with the double. I just happened to have, just, through the course of the 2 turns, blank 5 zones.
So just playing a bit more reserved.
For sure.
Okay.
1 Mind Hacker. Card was insane, actually. Don't have too many like good stories at all from this. Everything was kind of a standard game, to be honest. But one game I did have, I went first, kind of bricked. I just made him. So I did the regular thing where I ultimately milled him for 8, or at least he ended with 8 banished cards. My opponent starts his turn and he does prosperity.
Oh,
and
man.
so I then proceeded to banish an 14 off his deck, which
that's a lot.
essentially killed all the targets for the unicorn that he searched off the prosperity. So in that one particular instance, this card was an MVP.
Insane.
But mostly it was just applying pressure.
Okay.
Get to that one. Then some of the standard 7s that you see in most lists. This didn't get summoned. This did not get summoned either, to be honest. Just didn't come up, but I still would not cut this card. I think there was a lot of instances, not just for time, I was seeing this card could come up in. And then this card was insane. Big Eye was just going ham.
Was that one of the MVP one-ofs in your extra deck?
Pretty much. Yep. I think that'd be an accurate way to describe it. And again, this guy never got summoned in the first place.
Okay.
But in testing, though, he was the skill drain out, so that's why he exists still.
Okay.
2 Arise, nothing at all to be said really there. 2 Zeus, and Zeus was probably the MVP of the deck, like true MVP.
The true star of the extra deck.
Because most mirrors I was finding was just Zeus Wars. especially in conjunction with Big Eye, because if you had like another XZs, or if you took their XZs, you then I found a lot of times I was putting the Zeus on top of the Big Eye, sometimes things like that.
Okay.
So yeah, this card was great the entire tournament. Baron, probably not necessary. I only summoned it twice, and both times it felt very Winmore.
Okay.
I had it in here as a makeshift, make this like by the second summon or third basically, and now we have an out to nib. It just didn't really come up like that. Normally when I was summoning it was just for pressure, and
Okay.
again just ended up being Winmore. And then the last card in the extra deck was this. Every
Still on
single
the Raid
person
Raptor.
that looked at my extra deck commented, the barrier statue is banned, right? And to which I replied to them, yeah, I know, there is other level 4 wing beast, which we'll get to in the side deck.
Okay, that's the spice right there.
So speaking of moving to the side deck, we have the one-off Pankratops. The honorary Kashtira monster.
How many times did you normal summon this card with Birth Live?
At least 3. At least 3. Card was absolutely insane. Sometimes just because he was 2600 attack. And so if your opponent didn't have field spell, he pretty much 1-for-1 attack traded with any Kashtira monster they had.
No, I'm still the GOAT.
And so I was clowning this card, even though it's one of my favorite. I just didn't think it had a place. One of my other teammates, shout out to Arturo, over and over insisted that I play it for this tournament. He was 100% right. 2 nib.
Okay.
I actually never sided this card in. I find it's kind of hard to play in the Kashtira deck. I think it still has a spot here. It's still an insane card, probably one of the best hand traps this format. I just didn't feel like it was necessary. The lava golems and evenlies were pretty much doing the trick.
Okay.
3 Ibli. I still think this is great. Unfortunately, every time I sided in, I bricked on it. So I really can't really speak to this card at all. But that said, I will not be taking it out. I think it's still very good this format.
Awesome.
2 Lancia. Never drew it, but same thing. I think it's still worth playing. But due to that, nothing really to report on it.
Okay.
Here's the spice or cheese, whichever you want to call it, that I was summoning off of the Arsenal Falcon. This guy. The only part that matters is he deals damage.
Inflicts 600 damage.
Also is totally a combo extender. More just really good going second, sometimes even going first, depending. Thrust targets. Never drew this or had any reason to search it. These almost was game every time they resolved.
Yeah.
And normally it was game the turn they resolved too.
Oh, just immediately.
Like it was just absolute blowout.
Okay.
And then the last cards inside was 3D barrier.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I only drew it twice, but the 2 times I did, same story, pretty much ended the game on site.
How many times did you thrust for this card?
I think only once, ironically.
Wow.
Because playing this type of deck that I was playing, there was a lot of mind gaming, so there was a lot of times where sometimes if I had lost where it maybe makes sense to go first, I still elected to go second so he didn't come in, or vice versa. Like I would side in one because I'm like, he's about to make me go first type of thing. So it was a little bit hard to call when to put it in. So that was really the main reason it didn't get searched out too often. But once again, card is not going anywhere.
Awesome, man. Was there anything about your side that you would change going forward?
Probably I would have to look more into the nibs. I really don't know if they're necessary. There's just so many really good cards right now. I also think possibly not playing Shifter was a mistake, especially in light of the Despia deck. that pretty much ran rampant at this YCS. I think that's probably a better meta choice, or even maybe just take the Lanceys out for the shifters, but leave these. Definitely gonna be doing some more testing and kind of scoping this side for sure.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned on the extra deck on there that you'd probably be considering replacing that Baron going forward as well. Is there anything that you have in mind for that slot?
So not 100%. I'm thinking the Dark Arm Dragon XZ's monster though, because I didn't feel like it came up this tournament where I just needed something that destroyed more cards. But like I mentioned, since there was a fair bit of Brave, just being able to pop the token without using Battle Phase, I think would have come up big time, multiple times.
Okay.
Which was some of the reason why we had this, since this can pop cards as well. Of
course.
It's just the dragon is just way easier to summon in this deck, and doesn't sack
command
a
a normal for a hand trap.
So I think that might be the change. I might change this, but I like these type of cheese cards, so
It's always good to have an option.
so
for
it's
time,
probably
right?
gonna be the Baron, but once again, definitely gonna keep playing this deck and kind of see where it goes from there.
All right, man. Sounds good. Well, do you have any ending remarks on the deck or how you felt about the event?
We were just kind of going there to have fun, gonna be honest. We didn't expect to do really as well as we did. It's, kind of a lot of times how these tournaments end up. But it was a great time, spent the entire time with friends, got to see other people. So I thought it was a blast. I'd never been to Vegas before.
Sounds good. VOP. Well, you got any shout outs for anybody here at the end?
Yep, absolutely. Of course, shout out to Team Final Boss, our team. Shout out to Tony and Alex, who I not only roomed with, but also teamed with. Shout out to Ellis for also rooming with him, and of course getting top 16. Shout out to Rexon for, as usual, keeping these decks shiny. And then, of course, last but not least, shout out to Picanti TCG, best store in North Carolina. And that's everything for now.
All right. Well, sounds good, man. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Team
you.
Final Boss signing out.